Okay, let me just like do the rundown, okay? First of all, there are some conservatives blaming this on DEI, but as far as I can tell, they're all doing it disingenuously. There's not any real discourse. They're just baiting blue check Twitter ad revenue, okay? That's one. So quit giving them attention. Was anyone on the bridge? Yes. For two, my understanding is that this boat was having power issues for a while. You can actually see the lights on it flicker off a little bit before it hits the bridge. I think that they called ahead, and the reason why there are a bunch of cops on this bridge, you can see all the cop cars stopped here, is because they were trying to keep people off the bridge themselves. They already knew the ship was going like haywire, but they didn't realize this would happen because, like, look at this, like Jesus Christ. Yeah, the crew sent out a warning. There are some people saying that this is like an infrastructural issue. I don't know what problems caused the boat to have its power issue. Oh, I don't think those were cops. They were construction workers. Oh my. Okay, I know there were cops there, but there were also construction workers there. But they had blocked off some traffic. Gotcha. So these were construction crew, but there were also cops that were there that were trying to. Yeah. So sorry, guys. It wasn't all cops that went down. Also, there are some people who are saying that this is like an infrastructural issue. It's not. There is no infrastructure that can stop a fully loaded barge from annihilating anything it crashes into. Like you can build whatever you want. It's not going to make a difference. You would have to build a goddamn fortification in front of every truss. There's no way. Yeah, the kinetic energy behind a fully loaded barge moving forward would collapse like anything. You might as well be like constructing buildings to not take damage from a plane crashing into them. Like unironically, we have to 9/11 proof every building. Why did the bridge not simply parry the boat? Yeah. Anyone died? It was immediately declared a mass casualty event. I think, yeah, 6 people are unaccounted for from what I've seen, which means they're almost certainly dead. Probably all construction workers. I doubt anyone on the barge was killed because it's the barge. The foundations are supposed to fence away ships. Nothing could have fenced this ship away. Like the purpose of little like foundational, like the dolphins and stuff, they guide people, and you keep ships from doing a little bump. But this thing, like, look at the size of this thing, okay? See this car? That's a car. This pinprick of light is a car. This thing is like 100 feet tall, and it's fully loaded. We're talking like the weight of several buildings moving forward. There's no concrete there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. It keeps moving after hitting the bridge. Like, that's how much kinetic energy there is. Even after it hits the bridge, it continues moving forward. You can see. It's not even moving at full speed here. Are they going to go after the captain? Well, considering it seems to be a power issue, probably not. I mean, like, I don't know what the captain really could have done there. Oh, yeah, here you go. Okay, yeah, from an aerial shot. Look at that. There is not a bridge on Earth. Jesus Christ. There is not a bridge in the goddamn world. In the Biden press conference, they mentioned something about going after who might be liable. Well, it is possible that poor maintenance on the boat led to it having its power issues, but I can't imagine this being an issue with the crew. Anything that would cause a ship's power to go out like that doesn't seem to me like a moment-to-moment crew maintenance issue. That seems to me like a long-term problem. The ship had an accident before. Interesting. Well, that speaks even more to a chronic issue. So, I guess we'll see. Maybe skipped maintenance? The Dali was involved in at least one prior accident when it collided with a shipping pier. Oh, I get it. The Dali, because it makes a ruined mess of everything it touches. Nice. A 2016 incident occurs. The Dali was leaving port in Antwerp and struck a local pier made of stone, causing damage to the ship's stern. An investigation determined a mistake made by the ship's master and pilot was to blame. Probably unrelated. If this was a captain's issue, that's not the same as whatever caused the power to die. Now, if it is somehow the captain's fault, like the captain did something that led to the power issues on the ship, they are going to hang that guy. They're going to bring the death penalty back in Maryland so they can hang him in front of the state capitol building. They're going to roll a guillotine out. That motherfucker is getting put into the device. How many people on that bridge during like daytime? The key bridge. This is a huge bridge. This is a very, very used bridge. Thank God this happened during the night. Hundreds of people could have died if this had happened during prime time. It's so scary because it seems like for the most part this is literally just act of God stuff, you know? Like it because like obviously something went wrong in a way that could be addressed, but you know, in like a moment to moment sense, this really just feels like act of God stuff, you know? Shouldn't blame go on the company as well. Until we know what's caused it, we can't really say. Guys, at the moment, for some reason, I can't check any Twitter links. The Twitter links just aren't opening on my goddamn computer. I assume this is Elon's fault somehow. I'm not entirely sure. It works on my phone. You'll have to do knitter. Elon nibbling wires again. This happened to me once, like 4 months ago, for a few days. It was just an act of God. I don't know. Damages are not in the shipping company; they're on the owners of the cargo. That's centuries-old maritime law. I don't know. There's a barrier that can be installed. No, I don't think any barrier could have prevented this from happening. I know that the immediate desire when stuff like this happens is to say like, oh well, what about like if we only did this? But like, there's just really nothing you can do to stop a ship of that size without having to build out like, you know, the Maginot Line around every bridge. You know. The Twitter link note said, bridges aren't usually designed for a cargo ship to hit them. Yeah, nothing is. The boat was too big. Where was it trying to go? Well, the power was falling out. The boat was like basically steering itself. If it had power issues, they should have had a tugboat pull it to where it could do maintenance. No, I think the ship was like steering itself because they had already given a warning. Like obviously, if the issue is they can't control the boat, you cut power, but the fact that they were still moving makes me think that they weren't able to control the ship, right? Like they were turning, you know, they were turning of their own accord there. I wonder if it would have been possible for them to just like throw anchor. They would have had to have done it earlier though. Do ships like this even really have an anchor? Like what anchor would you need to stop something of this size? I'm sure they tried that. Yeah. I feel like the only thing an anchor could really do would be to like keep you stopped once you're already stopped, but there's no way it could stop you when you're moving at this speed, right? Like yeah, exactly. They're more it's more like putting a parking brake on where like once you're there, you just want to stay there anchored to the ground. But if you're moving, like it's not going to stop you from moving. It's not like Sea of Thieves where you like power drift.
Before I leave for North Carolina, which I'm going to do in a few minutes, I want to speak briefly about the terrible incident and accident that happened in Baltimore this morning. At about 1:30, a container ship struck the Francis Scott.
For some reason, Artemy is stopped in front of my computer and he's mesmerized by the light that I have on the RAM. He's just staring at it.
Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times commuting from the state of Delaware, either on a train or by car. I've been in Baltimore Harbor many times. And the bridge collapsed, sending several people and vehicles into the water, into the river. And multiple U.S. Coast Guard units, which are stationed very nearby, thank God, were immediately deployed along with local emergency personnel. And the Coast Guard is leading the response to the port, where representatives from the Federal Highway Administration, the FBI, the Department of Transportation, the Army Corps of Engineers, as well as Maryland officials and Baltimore Police and Fire, are all working together to coordinate an emergency response. Officials at the scene estimate 8 people were unaccounted for still, not still, were unaccounted for. That number might change. 2 have been rescued, 1 without injury, 1 in critical condition. And the search and rescue operation is continuing for all those remaining as we speak.
My Funko Pops.
I spoke with Governor Moore this morning, as well as the Mayor of Baltimore, the county executive, both United States senators and the congressman. And my Secretary of Transportation is on the scene. I told them we're going to send all the federal resources.
Why didn't they put barriers to subship? Look at the size of the ship relative to the size of the bridge. Again, just the kinetic energy involved in the movement of a ship of this size could like there's nothing that you could build to stop it. You know? You would need like sea mines. You would need to like make the surrounding of every bridge look like Normandy Beach circa, 43.
Resources they need as we respond to this emergency. and I mean all the federal resources. And we're going to rebuild that port together. Everything so far indicates that
Like,
this
remember how the Titanic was a really big ship, and then given the mass of the ship, like it was able to be cut open by ice, even though ice isn't as hard as steel. Okay, like this ship is huge. If it hit a concrete barrier, it would just vaporize the concrete. Like like it's so big. Build a second bridge in front as a buffer.
was a terrible accident. At this time, we have no other indication, no other reason to believe there's any intentional act here. Personnel on board the ship were able to alert the Maryland Department of Transportation that they had lost control of their vessel, as you all know and reported. As a result, local authorities were able to close the bridge to traffic before the bridge was struck, which undoubtedly
That's really good. The calling ahead probably saved like dozens of lives, you know?
saved lives. And our prayers are with everyone involved in this terrible
It
accident.
really sucks there was still construction crew on there. Like if that's really though. Like I actually hold on, thinking about it, like I feel like there should be an investigation into the decision making that kept the construction crew from leaving. The threat was a ship crashing into it. It wasn't like it wasn't like, you know, oh, civvies can't be here, but whatever. Like why the didn't they pull those guys out?
All the families, especially those waiting for the news of their loved one right now. I know every minute in that circumstance feels like a lifetime. You just
To be fair, they only had like 2 minutes max. I think they had 4 minutes. But if I was doing construction in the middle of a bridge and like I was like, hey, listen, a ship is careening towards us. You can see the ship. Like you can look over the side of the bridge and see this giant cargo ship with its lights flickering moving towards you. Like I am Scooby-Doo cartoon running off the edge of the goddamn I am zooping right out of there, you know?
don't know. It's just terrible. We're incredibly grateful for the brave rescuers who immediately rushed to the scene and to the people of Baltimore who want to say, we're with you. We're going to stay with you.
I'm
as long
dodge
as it
rolling.
takes. And like
Trying to
Governor
catch the
said,
hit in the
you're
iframes.
Maryland tough, you're Baltimore strong, and we're going to get through this together. And I promise we're not leaving. Here's what's happening now. The search and rescue operation is our top priority. Ship traffic in the Port of Baltimore has been suspended until further notice, and we'll need to clear that channel before the ship traffic can resume. The Army Corps of Engineers is on the spot and is going to help lead this effort to clear the channel. The Port of Baltimore is one of the nation's largest shipping hubs, and I've been there a number of times as a senator and as a vice president. It handles a record amount of cargo last year. It's also the top port in America for both imports and exports of automobiles and light trucks. Around 850,000 vehicles go through that port every single year, and we're going to get it up and running again as soon as possible. 15,000 jobs depend on that port, and we're going to do everything we can to protect those jobs and help those workers. The bridge is also critical for travel.
We don't care. It is pretty economically important that the channel be cleared no matter what. You know, a lot of people's lives depend on the continuity of trade, not just people's jobs, but like, you know, it's a pretty like important, you know, focal point of our economic flow of commerce. It always sounds kind of like grim, where it's like, people have died, people are missing, but you know, we got to get the ships up and running. But it is true. Like, it does make sense. You know, that's not even like a capitalist thing or whatever. Like, you would have to do that under any system.
Not just for Baltimore, but for the Northeast Corridor. Over 30,000 vehicles cross the Francis Scott Key Bridge on a daily basis. It's virtually, it's one of the most important elements for the economy in the Northeast and the quality of life. My transportation secretary is there now. As I told Governor Moore, I've directed my team to move heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible. And we're going to work hand in hand with the support of Maryland to support Maryland whatever they ask for. We're going to work with our partners in Congress to make sure that
There was a massive solar storm that occurred yesterday as well. It's possible that also fed into electrical issues. Maybe. I am very curious to know what caused the issues on the ship. I would be surprised if it was something like that, because then you'd probably have more widespread issues, right? And solar stuff like that tends to affect larger grids more so than little ones, I think. I guess I don't really know. I did the math, and the ship had 23 tons of TNT worth of kinetic energy. Whew! A solar storm would at most with GPS. Yeah, it probably wouldn't like shut power down. Makes sense.
The state gets the support it needs. It's my intention that the federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge, and I expect the Congress to support my effort. This is going to take some time. The people of Baltimore can count on us, though, to stick with them at every step of the way until the port is reopened and the bridge is rebuilt. You know, we're not leaving until this job gets done. Not leaving until then. So I just want to say God bless everybody who got everyone harmed this morning.
You guys ready for them to over-engineer the replacement for the Key Bridge? It's gonna be like the most durable bridge in human history. They're going to over-engineer. What's that old saying? Like anyone can build a bridge, but it takes an engineer to build a bridge that just barely stays up. Okay, we're going to get anyone to build the bridge. He's going to get like a 43-year-old mom who plays those like bridge building mobile games to build it, and she's going to be like, okay, I need $4 billion to put a truss every 4 feet. And all right, I'll need okay, can we make everything out of stainless steel? And like that we're bankrupt the entire economy, but we make like the most indestructible, like when human civilization collapses, this will be like the one remaining element. This will be the one remaining structure that aliens will look at and think, damn, they love their bridges.
Their families, and may God bless the first responders, many of whom risking their lives. And the reason I'm not gonna take a lot of questions, there's remaining issues that are open that we gotta determine what's gonna happen.
Then another cargo ship hits it, still goes down. Then what they need to do is put like reactive plates in it, the way we do with our Abrams. We need to strap the trusses of the bridge with like shaped charges that'll explode outward to direct away any kinetic energy, you know? But we just lining it with like briefcase nukes that direct outwards when they detect something moving nearby. A seagull flaps near a truss of the bridge, and like 6 kilotons of TNT worth of nuclear explosive goes off and shoots a plasma jet of hot steel outwards into the greater Baltimore area. It's the only way to keep ourselves safe.
In terms of the rescue mission and the like, but
Do you plan to go to Baltimore, sir? And if so, how quickly?
I do, and as quickly as I can. That's what
You said the federal government's also...
Wait, Baltimore is like a hop, skip, and a jump away from D.C. I mean, of course he's going to go. It's not like East Palestine or whatever, where you have to fly. Like, you can just drive to Baltimore from D.C., you know. He could helicopter over if he wanted. Wouldn't the greater Baltimore area be D.C.? Yeah, like, it's practically the same city. Richmond, D.C., and Baltimore are all, like, touching tips, you know? As someone who grew up on the West Coast, where all the big cities are very far away from each other and there's a lot of land in between them, it's very weird to go over to the East Coast and it's like, oh yeah, here are 3 massive historical cities, like, right next to each other, you know? Now, Richmond is different. From my perspective, they're all right next to each other. Like, from LA, it's a 2-hour drive to get down to San Diego. Like, you are so far away from other major cities in California from any other major city, you know? So to be that close, it all feels like it's the same city. Shut up, West Coaster. Yeah.
...to pay for the repairs. I'm just curious, this was a ship that appears to be at fault. Is there any reason to believe that the company behind the ship should be held responsible? And then also, you
that
mentioned...
could be, but we're not going to wait for that to happen. We're going to pay for it to get the bridge rebuilt and opened.
What did you make of Israel's...
That was a good answer. I like that. Like, that could be, but we're like charging ahead anyway. That was a good answer.
decision not to attend this meeting this week?
Aren't Seattle, Olympia, and Tacoma touching tips too? Tacoma and Seattle are separated by about 30 minutes driving of nothing with no traffic. Olympia is far away though. The better comparison would be Seattle, Bellevue, and Tacoma, because Bellevue is a lot closer, but it's like a sister city. Olympia is like a while away. Richmond and DC is 2 hours of driving. Yeah, in traffic, on a clear road, it's pretty close.
Oh, I don't want to get...
Vancouver's close, right? It's a few hours away.
You mentioned the port. Can I ask about cars? About the port.
You're retarded, it's not close. Guys, I went to Richmond. I was, remember? Last year, I went to DC. I drove from DC to Richmond. It didn't take 2 hours. I don't know what you guys are on about. I'm very confused. I don't understand. I went there. I drove between DC, Richmond, and Portland. What do you want from me? I live there, lol. Live harder. I know you guys don't leave the house.
So, President Biden leaving after those remarks about the collapse of the bridge. And importantly, at the end there, you heard him say that the federal government are going to pay the entire cost of rebuilding that bridge in Baltimore. He was stressing its economic importance and how the port handles some 850,000 vehicles that go through there every year. 15,000 jobs depend on the port and on the bridge. And he said, we're going to move heaven and earth to get that bridge rebuilt as soon as possible. We're not leaving until that job is done. The federal government will pay for the entirety of the reconstruction of that.
I think that Biden handled this about as well as he could. I don't really know what else he could have done apart from be younger and more handsome or whatever else. Yeah. This bridge is going to get rebuilt faster than you guys could imagine. There is so much economic value in keeping this passage clear. We are going to see some actual Build Back Better shit.
Bridge. He also talked about it as a terrible accident. The president was saying that he'd been over the bridge himself many, many times. And that officials had been working together in the aftermath of the tragedy. He said that the search and...
It's like the overpass that got rebuilt in like 2 weeks last year. The real secret to building stuff quickly is prefabbing the fuck out of it. You can't prefab everything. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but a big problem that we have is that because every new piece of infrastructure is like a big deal, the architects and designers usually approach it like, how am I going to leave my mark on the world, you know? When in a lot of cases it would be much better if the basic like structural frame of a bridge or whatever else was like, yeah, this is the like we have done this one 17 times before. We're doing it again. We already have like a factory in Michigan that's producing all the steel that we need for it. Like we can have this constructed like on site and ready to go in 6 months. And then if you want to dress it up, you can do a lot of like alterations to it. This is a consistent issue. Everyone wants to make a bridge like a big like, you know, keystone, you know, big thing. I don't blame them for that. I just want cheaper bridges. Yeah, also private contractors trying to milk their contracts. This is my most libertarian position. I actually do believe that sometimes regulations can overly strangle new construction. There are some instances where like for example, I've read horror stories in New York where like every single pothole that needs to get fixed in New York State, there's this like this Byzantine Kafkaesque bureaucracy nightmare you have to navigate through. Like, oh, this is a big issue in London too. In London, like, you can't build anything. If in London you want to change anything about the way London is, the government just shoots you, you know? Or yeah, the LA DOT, where you have to go through like 11 different organizations to put up a traffic sign. Yeah. There are definitely instances where government regulations sort of like strangle construction.
Rescue mission was continuing. He recapped some of the information we have heard from the local authorities that 8 people were thrown into the water. 6 of them are still unaccounted for. One was
only 8 people is such a miracle. Also, by the way, look, just want to say like a bit of congratulation. Really good design on this bridge that it separated so cleanly. That's really nice, you know? Like, it would have been a lot worse if there had been, like, a cascading effect and all of these trusses had gone down and, like, it's still boom, 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 like, the whole way up, you know? Good bridges are designed for failure, too. If they fuck up and break, like, you don't want the whole thing breaking. You just want the destroyed portion to break.
Eight people were thrown into the water. 6 of them are still unaccounted for. One was unharmed. One is in hospital. He also said that we are going to send all the federal resources.
8 people is only the ship crew? Nope. That's the construction workers who are on the bridge. To my understanding, nobody on the ship was seriously injured or killed or whatever. Also, that means that of the 8 people who fell into the water, 2 of them have lived, even though one of them is in critical condition. Can you imagine? For the guy who wasn't in critical condition, that mother fell like 50 feet on a collapsing bridge into the water, and didn't even get injured. Did anyone die? The 6 people who have not been accounted for are almost certainly dead. At least most of them. Like, bodies float. You know? It wouldn't be hard to find them. That bridge is much taller than 50 feet. You're right, not 50 feet, like 150 feet, yeah. Why are we searching? It's good form to make sure you find every body. Sometimes people live a lot longer than you think they will. Water temperature there is like 10°C right now. Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, it's not the Pacific. It's cold enough. You know, if they lived, they would have floated up pretty quickly or gotten onto the ship or, you know, the bridge remnants or whatever else. Yeah, you want to get the bodies. Bodies don't float for a few days. I mean, sorry, I should say living bodies float. Because of the air. Dead bodies depends.
That are required to rebuild the port. There was no reason to think that it was anything other than a terrible accident. And he said that his
Muslims again.
His thoughts and prayers went out to everybody who was involved in the search and rescue mission, and of course the families of those people who are still missing. And he said, as a message for the people of Baltimore, we are with you and we will stay.
The bridge is Hamas. I can't believe that that the Houthis have extended their orbit of ship attacks all the way out here to Baltimore. That's crazy, man. We thought it was we got to take them down. We were just contained to the Red Sea, and now all the way over here. How cucked is America that anything bad happens and everyone immediately assumes it's terrorism? Well, terrorism's a big, like, global topic right now. Also, in fairness, this is insane. Shit like this does not happen very often. Like, boat accidents can happen pretty often, but like this, like a ship just fully careening directly into a bridge, like that's not common. Deeply unfortunate. And yeah, not gonna lie, if I didn't know much about anything and I was just a generally suspicious person, it does kind of look like a deliberate attack. A ship literally steered into the bridge. Like, you see it turn into the bridge truss. So, you know. Listening to Vosh discuss architecture and civil engineering simultaneously gives me massive cringe because he simplifies normalcy, and enjoying because he's talking about my job now. Yeah, well, that's the problem that you have to deal with when you're an expert. One thing that I've noticed a lot is whenever I talk about a subject that I don't know that much about, like, I know some stuff about engineering, but not a lot, right? One thing that I've noticed is people are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And then I ask, okay, what did I get wrong? And they're like, okay, well, you didn't get anything wrong, but it was simplified. No shit. I can't be an academic on every topic, man. I got 1 degree. It was in sociology, and even that was only a bachelor's. Like, come on, like what? You know, like I got this with the medical stuff too, where I'm like, hey, here's like some like medical thing or whatever. And people are like, somebody with a med degree, like, da-da-da. It's like, okay, well, what did I get wrong? I don't want to spread misinformation, right? Like, if I say something like dangerous or whatever, let me know. And they're like, well, actually, it's just more complicated. It's like, well, I can't know every complication. I'm not magic. I told you what was wrong. It's the clients, not the architects. I don't know what you mean. You're totally wrong about London planning, I'm just saying. No, I'm not. All I said was that if you try to change anything about London, they kill you, which they do. That's true. Look it up. I'm kind of glad it was a ship running into it as opposed to just shitty architecture. Yeah, there are tons of issues with American infrastructure, and it is crumbling, but I don't know. I am glad that as bad as things are in that regard, I guess it could have been sort of conceptually worse if it had just happened. It was both. No, the bridge is fine. The bridge, no level of decay with the bridge would have been like the deciding factor here. That bridge was going down in this collision. Well, we learned a lot today about the bridge collapse. It's very, very sad, but you know, I'm glad that it's going to get rebuilt. Hopefully it gets rebuilt quickly.